Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Maverick here today with another episode of Isekai Meikyuu de Harem. So, last episode we left on a little bit of a cliffhanger. Apparently we are now in another bandit event, so Michio's, I guess his entanglement with the bandits has not come to a closure yet. There actually is something important that's going to come out of all of this that I'm not going to mention right now. I'm not going to spoil it. We'll see it fairly early on, alright? And then after that, it should be more of the same if I remember correctly. Like, so still some daily life with Roxanne going into the dungeon and whatnot. Like I said, at the pace they are currently doing right now, I actually have a suspicion that we're not going to see the next girl or you know, progression in terms of that part until maybe like 2 episodes later, something of that sort. But we'll see, right? They could also still pull another one and instead speed up the middle process as well. So with that in mind, let's just jump directly into the episode. Alright, so they started with the opening this time. Just skip it to save some time. Let's start directly within the episode in 3, 2, 1, play. She smelled the door open. Level 3. Yep. Here's the important part. Equivalent exchange. Well, you know, all things considered, I have to say, this is still an extremely reckless and stupid decision. But, I guess, you know, you gotta take some risks. You gotta crack some eggs to bake some omelets, right? Bake? Why did I use bake? Cook. Fry. Alright, bake. How do you bake an omelet? Alright. And here comes the, you know, the backlash. Lucky for you, Michio. Like I said, still an incredibly reckless decision, all things considered, but meh. Alright, so if it wasn't. So, in case anybody has forgot about this, so in this world, when you run out of MP, you basically also fall into depression as well. And now he feels even worse, right? I think this is the first time he did this, right? Right. The Rendell is such a cheat weapon. A relatively simple magic system. Actually, full props to the animation team. That actually looks pretty good. Hmm. And the fire effects are actually a little bit better than I was expecting from this anime, to be honest, in terms of animation level. Like I said, a very simplistic system, all things considered. Now, I would probably complain a little bit more in regards to the simplistic magic system, but to be honest, I think this is the best we're gonna get from this offer. I don't like up to the point that I read it. We didn't really change too much in terms of these basic forms of spells. See, yeah. So as you can see, basically Michio's entire spiel here, or I guess his um his objectives, his goals, if you will, is really just to continue living a good life here in this world. Which I can't really blame him, right? Honestly, if I had the chance to be isekai and go into another world, I'd probably want to do something similar as well. I just want to secure like my well-being, right, and just live a long and fulfilling life in the other world. And it might not sound all that important, but that's kind of like, you know, once you know that this is the basically the objective of the main character, you can have a better understanding as to how he will approach certain situations, why he does what he does, and so on and so forth. Oh, second floor boss. I've always wondered, like, what would happen if like two teams go into it at the same time, right? Yep. There we go. There is something that, yeah, I wish he would try doing, like, mentioning just, like, wall, and he's immediately like, okay, this is sort of like a defensive ability and whatnot. But honestly, in so many different video games and so many different works, firewalls are used offensively, right? You literally, like, make the firewall or flame wall directly underneath the enemy's teeth, and then try to keep them there. Nope. It's a rare drop. Well, actually, do they call it unique drop or something like that? This definitely brings also lots of MMORPG vibes, right? Like providing transports. to other areas or other cities. So many MMORPGs have that kind of stuff as well. This brings me back memories of playing. Like, one of my favorite MMORPGs of all time is Ragnarok Online. I don't think it's that popular in the West, although I think it does have like a small cult following. That's the Imperial City. And once again, overuse of MP. So, if we're on this kind of pacing, I think for a moment. If we're on this kind of pacing. Yeah, definitely. We have still at least one or two more episodes of just. Oh no, actually probably not just two episodes, maybe like three episodes of just Roxanne and Micho. By the way, I talked about this before, but I do like I also do watch the uncensored version as well. It's just that just to look at any differences and so on and so forth. But I do find it really funny how they censor a lot of things in the normal version, which technically isn't even like why would they want to censor a kiss, right? Like, come on, come on. It's not like this is supposed to be rated like for a general audience or whatnot. The other interesting thing. Okay. The other interesting thing about this is actually that the seiyuu used in like the voice actors and voice actresses in this particular anime actually aren't like some third rate or unknown voice actors or voice actresses. They're actually like, in fact, I think the person that's voicing Roxanne is quite a well known voice actress. So for her to be actually like voicing these kinds of like more hentai, more ecchi kind of stuff, that actually did surprise me as well. This is how it looked like? Okay. This is definitely different from what I was, um, I don't quite remember this place, this Labyrinth being something like this. And Michio, you're such a cheapskate. Like, it's literally like a Nar or whatnot. uh, I mean, he's frugal, right? He's frugal. Alright, see you guys after this. Well, alright guys, that was episode 7. I'm not sure like how many of you guys expected the sort of like bandit fight at Alan's mansion to be a bit grander in scale and whatnot. Well, too bad, because it really was just a sort of like stepping stone towards Michio learning magic. That was the entire point of that particular incident there. Which, like, honestly, I also felt that the offer was kind of the troll as well, like deliberately making it so that these bandit events are interconnected, setting us up to be like another major battle, another big thing, and yet in the end it ended rather tame in a lot of ways. But of course, through it, we did allow Michio to, you know, the offer did allow us to be introduced to the magic system of this world, which, like, again, I've said this in the episode, but it's actually a really simplistic system, a little bit too overtly simplistic, if you will. So basically you have 4 different elements and 3 different forms, and that's basically it for a total of 12 different kinds of spells. I actually can't quite remember like how whether or not they made any advances in the later episodes or later chapters, whether or not they had whether or not they kind of changed the formula and usage of the spells then. I mean, obviously beyond that, there are still unique spells and special spells as well, right? Like such as those that that Michio uses, those bonus abilities. Although I don't think it's ever been confirmed whether or not normal people can have some variation of that, or rather, because those are bonus skills, so they can only be used by Michio, like a literal cheat, right? But, you know, beyond that, at least for the foreseeable future, at least in particular for this anime, for this this season, all the way up to, like, I don't know, episode 12, 13, those are all the magic that we're gonna be seeing here. So, it's kind of like, I don't know, like, there's definitely a lot of stuff that I love about this particular work, but there's also a lot of stuff where I feel that, you know, could use a little bit more polishment, use a little bit more work, right? And the magic system is definitely one of those. It's... I don't know if this counts as spoiler or not, but I'll just give a quick, you know, give a quick thought on this. So the reason why it's not really nice to have such a simplistic magic system, really, it's also something to talk about, especially when you get later on and, you know, you're fighting higher and higher level enemies, but the way that you're fighting them doesn't really change, right? Like, if all you had at your disposal were these 12 spells, like, and you know, it's 4 elements, 3 different forms, you know, what kind of variation can you actually do? So actually in the later, I still remember in the later chapters of this light novel / web novel, a lot of the combat tends to get a little bit repetitive, right? Because everybody is using the same 1 or 2 different skills at the same time, like each and every time for each and every encounter. The magic spells are also similar as well, and so it you know, you kind of fall into a routine here, which I guess is kind of true to life. You know, you want to get a routine set down so that you can minimize any unforeseen consequences and whatnot, but it doesn't exactly make for the best reading or viewing experience, if you guys get what I mean. So, yeah, that's kind of unfortunate, but once again, that's kind of outside the scope of this season anyways. We're not really gonna get anywhere near the sort of like more later stages, later chapters, if you will. So yeah, in any case, congratulations to Michio for getting magic here. And as for the rest, you know, like, we've been seeing this sort of like MP overusage many times now, and it's going to be a recurring theme in the future as well. You know, Michio needs to find some safeguards against this, and so on and so forth. I do find it to be rather nasty, the way that you know, it can have this kind of drawback. You know, you could I could really see a situation where after expending all your MP, you actually have suicidal thoughts or whatnot and just kill yourself, right? Obviously, this work isn't going to go that dark, but I could totally see a situation like that happening, considering how easily you fall into self-doubt and loathing and depression just by draining your mana, right? And also that it also kind of like once again, this is probably something that we'll never see in this anime, and I don't think I've ever even read it in the light novel either. But this could also be a really useful way of torture if you guys think about it, right? You just find a way to drain their MP, and then they literally are in this very sad and hopeless state that is easily impressionable, right? But that's also kind of beyond the point. At the very end of this episode, I think there are some there are some far-reaching events that happen in this episode beyond just the magic, right? For one, Michio has now found a way to an Imperial City, so obviously we can expect him to do some stuff there in the future as well, as the capital, as the biggest city within this particular empire. There's obviously some stuff to do there, right? Beyond that, another thing that was mentioned in this episode, like at the end, near the sexy times and whatnot, we had Michio comment on or contemplate on wanting to own a house, right? Wanting to have some place with a little bit more privacy. So, just by that, we can also infer that this is some goal that he's going to work towards in the future. And with that, yeah, I think that's basically the most important thing, right? I mean, it kind of makes a lot of sense as well, right? Once you get more established, once you get a stable income and whatnot, you don't want to be hemorrhaging money by always staying at a hotel, and you don't have any privacy, you don't have any you can't do any kind of customization to the house, and so on and so forth. So that turns out to be another important decision and an important purchase for Michio in the future, right? And speaking of the future, so if we are going by this current pacing, I know that in the past I mentioned that, okay, probably I like that they're taking their time to properly adapt it, which they've been doing ever since the second episode. I do find it funny, but that's how they choose to go for it. And so based on this current schedule, I do believe that the next sort of girl or next big milestone, if you will, in terms of introducing new characters and whatnot, isn't going to be happening anytime soon. It's probably only going to happen like literally in the last, I don't know, like the last three or four episodes of this season, right? I definitely think it's not going to happen in the next one. We still got a lot of stuff to do before we get to that, including some stuff that I mentioned in this review portion as well. And yeah, I think that's basically it for now, right? I can't really talk too much else in lieu of just to make sure that people aren't spoiled and so on and so forth. So I guess we'll cross the other bridges once we get there. But yeah, we're slowly moving forward. I mentioned before that this work is definitely something that takes its own pace, and you kind of need to understand like Michio's situation, like what he's trying to do, why is he being so cautious, etc., and really get into his mindset before you can understand, oh yeah, so what he's doing here actually makes a lot of sense. And honestly, for me, their actions making sense and fitting into the wider context of the world is actually something that I really enjoy. I enjoy well thought out stories that really feature a thoughtful MC as well, and for them to really progress at a reasonable pace, right? So once again, it's more of a case of if you were isekai right this moment into another world, right? Into another world with fantasy and magic, and you don't know literally anything, like you didn't, like there wasn't some god or goddess that came up to you and say, hey, I'm gonna reincarnate you, what kind of cheat power do you want, and give you a cheat power. Like if it's this kind of situation where you can nearly say that he really is going through this blind, yeah, I think it's understandable that he wants to take things a little bit slower, be a bit more cautious. You only live once, right? Although this is, I think, the more appropriate applyment of the term, which is you only live once, so you better be careful and you better be cautious, right? So yeah, anyways, that is it for this episode. Thank you guys once again, and I will see you guys next time. Till then, bye-bye.